Hey, everybody, welcome to Fatherhood Friday on the Preacher Dad podcast. I hope you're looking forward to this episode because I sure am. In this episode, we talk about stories, movies, and books. What is the best guy movie? The best guy movie, dads, what is it? And also, what is the purpose of Tom Bombadil? Is The Lord of the Rings the greatest story ever written? Is The Hobbit hilarious? And is Harry Potter real? All of these subjects come up and more in this very fun and interesting episode about all the stories that we tell ourselves and the importance of them and the significance of them. So sit back, relax, enjoy. And as always, this podcast is brought to you by Cornerstone Fellowship. Cornerstone Fellowship is a small church with a big heart, just a little bit north of Toomsboro, Georgia. And we would love to love you if you have a chance to come on by. We are looking to make a difference in our community and to spread the gospel of Jesus Christ to those that need it. So if you are passionate about Him and you want to come and be a part of us, we would love to have you here. Come to Cornerstone Fellowship, just a little north of Toomsboro, Georgia, or you can check us out online at cornerstonefellowship-ga.org. cornerstonefellowship-ga.org, or you can look us up on Facebook and find us there as Cornerstone Fellowship. God bless you and enjoy your Friday. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Fatherhood Friday. I hope that you're having a great start to your weekend. I like to tell people all the time, you can't mess up Friday. You got to work hard. If you want to mess up Friday, you got to try hard. And so hopefully your Friday is going great. We are here today again with Matt, Tony, and Nate. And we are excited about this episode today. We are going to be talking about stories, talking about not just movies, but books and some of our favorite movies or books or stories. And I think that it'd be interesting to know what everybody thinks about what is the best guy movie. Like if you can only watch one guy movie,
yeah,
and we all kind of understand what a guy movie is.
Certainly.
If you can only watch one, or somebody can only watch one, which one should they watch?
Gladiator. Gladiator. All other answers are wrong.
That was Tony.
So I will say,
sleep in there before it got stolen away from.
No, I will say unapologetically for story and history and wholesomeness, The Patriot. It's by far my favorite movie. By far my favorite movie. We watched it on the 4th of July this year.
Gladiator, but
I watched that movie probably.
That movie, so it's not good.
I watch it probably 2 to 3 times a year.
2 to 3 times a year?
Yes.
Awesome.
I'm jealous.
Me too.
Yeah, wait till the kids are asleep and then.
Nice. Matt, what's yours?
Well, I had Patriot as well, so I guess Dumb and Dumber.
Oh no.
Gladiator, Patriot, Dumb and Dumber.
Pretty much. Yeah. No, I don't. I guess my oldest 3 kids, since they're girls, I guess I haven't watched any manly movies in a long, long time. So I can't tell you any besides Patriot.
Yeah. I think I agree with you guys. Patriot and Gladiator are like way up there.
We can throw Braveheart in the running. It's a great story. You just gotta know when to skip.
Yeah, you gotta have the fast forward button handy on that one. But basically, Patriot is the American version of Braveheart.
Yeah, I mean, with the exception of a handful of, a few coarse words, it's really a pretty wholesome movie. There's nothing really inappropriate at all. He learns some great lessons as a father, and it's patriotic, and it's good history. It's just a good movie.
Wholesome murder. Real
That's
good.
Right. wholesome killing. Murder. I wouldn't say murder.
Whatever it was, I think it was justified. I get to be here and judge him now as an American 200 years in the future. So
I like Patriot a lot too, because the father is the hero.
Yeah.
I mean, he messes up and makes mistakes, and his children
kind of show him the light and the truth and the things he ought to do, but the dad is the hero of the story. And I love stories that do that. And I think that all of us as fathers want to be the hero in our home. And I think that appeals to us. And what's another great story where the father is the hero, the father or the husband?
Can I make a point real quick about what you just said there? Because
besides the one on your head?
This is very much not a point. This is very round. But
yeah,
200 pounds rounder than it should be. But anyway, you're talking about how like the guy is the hero in that story, but it's not just that he's the hero. He's the hero because he was a guy, and because he stood up and did hard things that only a man would be able to do very well. He wasn't the hero dad because he bowed down to the feminine wisdom of the weaker people around him who wanted him to see rationale and softness over his grit and over his survival and his integrity. And that's why he is such a stellar warrior hero character. He wasn't soft, and he wasn't kind, and he wasn't willing to negotiate or barter when evil was coming to destroy his people. He was ready to give absolutely everything that he possibly could, so that his kids would live in a brighter future than what he imagined was heading their way, even if that meant they had to live there without him. And that's a very masculine approach to problems.
Matt, you look like you wanted to say something.
The one movie that stood out, where the father stood out, is the Quiet Place.
Oh yeah, that is a really, really good story.
Have you seen that one, Jared?
I've seen the beginning, and I wasn't able to get to the end yet.
It's really not a horror movie. It was kind of portrayed as that, but it's really more of a thriller. It's not graphic.
I haven't avoided it on purpose. I just haven't gotten to it.
Yeah. It's a really, really good story.
Yeah, and I
haven't seen any of the other ones, but the first one was really good.
I mean, at some point, my oldest daughter's 13. At some point in the next year or two, probably I'll let her watch that. I mean, it's really not that graphic, and it's monsters coming to kill you if you make any noises. But that dad, I forget his name, but off The Office, John
Krasinski.
Yeah. So, I mean, he provides for his family. He protects them. He sacrifices himself. You name it. He's resourceful.
Yeah.
Just a smart guy. Like it, he's a fantastic father, doing whatever he can do to save his children. And one of them, the first or the second one, they have a baby, and you can imagine keeping a baby quiet from these monsters who are going to kill them if they make any noises. And so it's a really good movie.
Yeah.
Fantastic. I think I've seen that scene in the bathtub where she's giving birth and trying to be quiet at the same time. That is intense. That was intense cinema.
Yeah. And that one other one that, again, and people who have young kids, they'll appreciate it. Maybe y'all will make fun of me though. Finding Nemo. That's a good dad in that one too.
That's a good father movie.
It is.
That is my favorite Pixar movie. Period.
I mean, he gives these strict rules to his kids, boundaries. Look, don't go over there. Something bad's going to happen. Like, listen to what your dad said, and they still do it. But then he spends the rest of the movie trying to find his kid.
That is a good one.
His little fish. So
well, and he is the hero of the story.
Mm-hmm.
And he's a good character. His character arc is great in that movie. I love Finding Nemo. Honestly, I think that another one that I really identify with is Frequency. Have you guys ever seen Frequency?
No.
So this is a great fatherhood story.
Write it down.
You need to write it down. It's got some, salt and pepper language in there, a couple places, but and some adult subject matter is in it too. But basically, this
like
guy,
like paying bills and stuff.
Yeah, definitely adulting. We don't want kids to know about bills. No, this guy is trying to solve a serial killer murder, he's a police officer, and it stars Jim Caviezel,
Okay.
and he's messing around with his dad's old shortwave radio, and he starts talking to this guy over the shortwave radio. And there's like this L'Oreal Borealis over New York. It's like this incredibly rare moment. And for some reason, this shortwave radio is able to go to the past, and he realizes that he's talking to his dad, who died in a fire some years earlier. And he's like, before his dad died, he's able to talk to him, and he's like, oh my goodness. He figures out that he's talking to his dad like the day before the fire, where if he just would have turned one way, he would have lived, but he didn't, and he died. So he tells his dad, turn the other way, and then he loses the connection. And his dad does that way and lives. And so it starts this butterfly effect, like it changes things over here and it changes things over here. And suddenly the serial killer killed somebody else that he wasn't supposed to have killed. And like, it is a really, really well-written movie. It stars Dennis Quaid and Jim Caviezel. Those are two of my favorite actors. So I can recommend it if you have a little bit of filtering on the language, but it was great.
Interesting.
Yeah,
I'll have to check that one out.
Check it out. Speaking of Jim Caviezel, hey man, Sound of Freedom.
Sound of Freedom.
Oh yeah, that is a good one.
We're talking about these movies, and what do you guys think about books?
Yeah.
I know that books are not always the most popular of subjects with dads, but I know that I have enjoyed them a lot of times. And what are you guys' thoughts about reading books?
So I would say let's preface this a little bit and just kind of go into some backstory, just some stuff we were talking about before we started recording the podcast. Just the importance of good stories in not just our culture, because they certainly can tell good stories in our culture, but they flex a different muscle, and they're able to just films, books, you name it, or just stories that are passed down, generationally. I think Tony mentioned that, that are told around a campfire. They have the ability to convey truth and in a very powerful way. So
that's why Jesus did it.
Yeah.
Jesus used parables. He used stories to teach eternal things. And I think the most powerful stories, they direct us to eternally true things.
Yeah.
And that's why we gravitate toward so many stories, these stories that are like, man, we're cheering on the hero. It's because we want to be that hero to our family. It's because there's something innately in us that wants to be heroic and brave, but also, there's a longing within us for, like, there's a lot of stories that have a Messiah in them, some sort of a promised savior that's going to come and deliver everybody. I mean, Star Wars is that way. Dune is that way. I mean, there's so many different situations, different stories that speak to that kind of longing in our hearts for Jesus. And so I think that stories are remarkable for being able to teach things and in a way that people remember and gravitate to. And I know that a lot of people, in fact, George Barna has done some research that, if I'm remembering this correctly, there's a majority of Americans now get their worldview from the movies that they watch.
Mm-hmm.
The stories that they're watching is what's guiding their thinking about their worldview. And some of those movies are good and are teaching good things, but some are not.
Sure.
And so movies is the way that a lot of people are communicating and understanding their world. And I think it's always been stories, whether it's in a book or in a movie or in an opera, or even songs tell stories many times. The arts communicate to our souls in a deep, meaningful way.
I just even think about, other world religions, even just a couple thousand years ago, before you had written history and everything was passed down orally.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and so much of the Old Testament too is narrative. Like there's a lot of the Bible itself that it's not just that Jesus was a storyteller of great stories. That there are even true stories, true narratives, true depictions of these characters and what was going on in their heart and their mind. that try to draw us together through not just time, but circumstance, through a common reality, a common capacity to perceive of one another. And I think that's that spiritual piece that you're talking about that really kind of is a little piece of the thread that runs through almost any story. There's always some capacity to either reflect on the real spiritual nature of the universe in a very subtle but identifiable way, or it's a complete revulsion to that, and it
Right.
stands out as an oddity because it makes no sense because of what you spiritually know to be true in the universe in which you live. So that's there are even stories that are massively sci-fi or whatever, and different worlds, different universes, different aliens and characters and whatever. There's still a common ethic that kind of makes sense of all of that, and then because of that common ethic, I think that's part of that spiritual underpinning that either draws you in or pushes you out from a story as being identifiably true and fundamentally true, in the capital T truth kind of way, or just repulsive because it doesn't know truth and it doesn't recognize anything in your life that you can identify with that you enjoy.
Yeah. There's a good illustration of this. Back in the 60s, Star Trek was popular on TV. And there's in that part of our history, there was a lot of racial tension. I don't know if it's more than now, but there was a lot of that. And there's an episode of Star Trek where these two aliens are upset with each other. They're annoyed. They're fighting, I think, and the Enterprise crew is there trying to bring peace. They're trying to have peace negotiations. And the aliens, one side of their face is black and the other side of their face is white. And the makeup artists do it that way. And the other alien, the other side of his face is black and the other side of his face is white. It's just flipped. And so they argue and they fight and they have this angry exchange, and the Enterprise is trying to calm them down. And what's portrayed in that episode is just the silly nature of their animosity toward each
Right.
other.
Right.
Why would you fight with each other just because his one side of his face is white opposite of your side of your face? Just because of that, you're going to fight over this. And so it really is a great way to make a very poignant point that this is silly. What a person's skin color is
Sure.
does not have anything to do with their heart. It has to do with their culture and their life. It's certainly part of their story, but it doesn't have anything to do with the value of the person or what have you. I just think that's a good illustration of the way that stories kind of can really make a really powerful point in lots of situations.
Yeah.
I think too, to get back to what Nathan was talking about earlier, with books, and their uniqueness of their capacity. I was recently reading God of War on PlayStation 5, and that just phenomenal graphics in that book. Really good book. No, I'm just kidding.
Hey parents, if you're looking for a fun and entertaining way to teach your children about character, then I've got the right podcast for you to check out. It's called Character Stories Podcast. On the Character Stories Podcast, we do voices of all shapes and sizes, and we have occasionally sound effects as well. And I would love for you to come and join us over there and hear a great story that has a great lesson and moral in it as well. So come on over and check out the Character Stories Podcast today.
We're talking about a little bit before we started. I just recently, I mean, I read all the time. I'm always nerding out on economic stuff or political stuff or doctrinal stuff or things of that nature. Stuff that just kind of bores your life away generally. And I enjoy that stuff, but it's been a long time since I've actually sunk my teeth into a narrative of any kind. And I don't know what led me to it as a particular starting point, but I ended up with C.S. Lewis's Space trilogy and just this last week, got my way through the Out of the Silent Planet book. And one of the things that was kind of striking to me about just going through that and to what you're talking about here, Jared, generally in the power and capacity of story, is that the way Lewis imagines a world that is so recognizable from our vantage point as to what the true nature of that universe and that world really is, but yet without all of the experience and the history and the corruption of what we have. Like, he's able to present a capacity for logic and reason and development and argument that feels very divorced from the touch of sin in some capacity, in the way that some of those dialogues go through there. And it's really intriguing to see that just how fundamental the way that we construct reality around ourselves, all of it has that kiss of death in it in some kind of a way. It was a very self-reflective book. Just looking at the narratives, the way that the narratives unravel and kind of reveal the nature of the story as it's progressing were so creative and clever. And some of the questions that they have these alien characters present to this human character are given a capacity to explore thought in such a deep level, and just explore the kind of the presuppositions of how you even start your arguments of, well, why would you consider this to be this way? Well, I've never considered anything ever to be that way, because that would be to assume this sinful presupposition from the start. What if you never had that? How would you move forward? And I've really found it to be quite illuminating, because it really made me want to dig deeper into my own capacity to reason through problems, to reason through just kind of what frustrates me or excites me about life. Like, what's the meaning of these things? Is it connected to a deeper wrong, or is it connected to a deeper connection in Christ? How do I know where my tether points exactly are coming from, and how do I be a vanguard against those things? It's a brilliant book. Really.
All of that comes from you're talking about the master here. All of that comes from masterful storytelling. And C.S. Lewis is just about the king. I mean, I think The Lord of the Rings is pretty much the most masterful storytelling I've ever read, but C.S. Lewis is my favorite. C.S. Lewis is my favorite author. What did you say?
I was gonna say he didn't write that one, so it can't be the greatest. It has to be at least very, very greatest. Could be second place, maybe. So.
Lewis is pretty much the king of storytelling to me, but Tolkien is right up there too. But you're right. These books really, if you read them thoughtfully, and Tony, you're a really thoughtful guy. A lot of other people are not so thoughtful, but you can really get a lot out of them, especially from a great author like Lewis, because he put a lot into his stories. And again, this is just it can be just plain old entertainment, but there's a lot more to it if we will allow ourselves to go there.
I think also, sorry, Matt, one real quick. You want to obviously vet things first and kind of know where you're able to take them and have those conversations. But I think it's also a fantastic way to convey truth to kids, to our children, is through books. And so stories like the Chronicles of Narnia, and we were just talking about that, I really, really want to dive into the books. I've seen the movies, but just to see the Christ figure in that story, Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe, just a way that you can kind of convey that. Obviously, we have the children's Bible books and stories and such, but just a powerful way to convey truth to children in a way that they can understand, I think is great. But Matt, what were you had something you were going to say there?
No, that's very important. And on those lines, my wife May, she said a long time ago when we first started homeschooling, or when she started homeschooling, she's like, if we don't do anything else, let's develop a love of reading in our kids. Like they have to love to read. And so yeah, they're going to read imagination stations. They're going to read all kind of silly stuff, but it's very important that they enjoy reading. And my oldest, she's 13. She's read through her favorite Harry Potter. But she reads.
I thought she was a Christian though.
Yeah, she is. Absolutely, she actually is, and she can, and she knows right and wrong, and knows that's a lot of that stuff is just fake, and but
or is it? That's a conversation for another day.
But she right now, I actually asked her today what her favorite books were. Of course, that was all the Harry Potter. There was another one I can't remember. She's reading now, some series, and then Christian Heroes Then and Now. So she just reads tons of stories just about missionaries, and so but she just loves to read, which is fantastic. So I just wanted to
Very
say,
important.
yeah.
It's very important. I've been reading The Hobbit to our kids. Actually, we just finished it, and that book is hilarious. If you guys have never read The Hobbit, you just need to go for fun. Just read The Hobbit because it is funny. And I'd forgotten. It's been maybe 20 years ago that I read that book first, since. And so I was just like, okay, let's read it. We read it to my younger kids.
Yeah.
And I really liked it. And I realized how smart Tolkien really was. He's probably smarter now. But
Is that the best book to start with? Because we're starting the Lord of the Rings here pretty soon. Do we start with that one?
yeah, I would start with that one.
Okay, that's
It's
what I've heard.
easy, it's fun, it's funny. I would start with The Hobbit, and then, when you read The Lord of the Rings, and Nate, this is for you too, because I understand you
Yeah.
still need to get there.
That's right.
You gotta push through the first part of the first book, because the stuff with Tom Bombadil is probably just way beyond me. But it is a little bit like, why are we stopping and talking to this tree guy, the shepherd of the trees? So after you get past Bombadil, it really picks up and it's very riveting
Buckle up
and,
and get ready for the
engrossing.
ride.
So push through that part.
So
If
it's
you're
like
really
the-
cool
it's-
about
yeah.
hallucinogenic additives, you can potentially get close to perceiving why that's even in there. But it doesn't, if you reading those books, I mean, there's the greatness of The Hobbit was really expressed well when Peter Jackson ripped it into two different stories and elaborated far beyond the context of the original narrative in such a deep and thoughtful way. Certainly not in a cash grab way that just brings in characters that were never part of the story in the first place.
It was
Anyway,
awful.
the movies are fantastic, but the books, that's one of the honestly, before this book that I'm reading now, that might have been the most recent book that I had read, was the Lord of the Rings trilogy when the movies came out when I was in high school. So it's been a little while, but yeah, the Tom Bombadil feature is kind of the big red flag about books generally, and every now and then you kind of have to watch for those warning signs, and you'll get that from the critics. They'll let you know whenever the movies are better, and this is definitely one of those cases where
No, they will never. No, the critics are always wrong. Trust the audience, not the critics.
truthfully, most of them probably can't read to begin with, so that might be why they're coming to the conclusions they are.
Every time, look, I have seen a number of movies where I've read the book either before or after I've seen the movie. Every single time, the book is better than the movie. I have never seen a movie based on a book where I felt like the movie was better than the book. It's never happened. So
I
I'm
will
a
say
big
that
believer in reading.
with the Lord of the Rings movies, the movie was such a spectacle when I was young. Like it was one of the most fantastic movies I'd ever seen in my life in terms of visual and narrative richness, that I immediately went to the books and just read the books between the first and the second movie coming out because I wanted more. I had no idea that it was all dumped deep under Tom Bombadil, but I did want more.
I'll throw in something here just in terms of books and movies and TV series. I'm going to throw in, if you want a really good story on what not to do as a man, watch the series called Poldark, but watch it with your wife and let her tell you when to, turn your head, because there's definitely some stuff in there that we probably should steer our eyes away from. But great story. It has a lot of, it just shows, I think it shows a lot of our faults in humanity, but along the same lines, it's also dudes that know how to act like men, just not in a very Christian way, but good storytelling. But it was a book series before it was a TV series.
I did not know that.
Yep.
Interesting.
Yep. It's a BBC production.
All
My
right.
wife's here talking
let's
about how great Poldark is.
We're starting to run long on time. Let's see if we can go through our favorite books before we close it up for this episode.
So
who wants to go first?
I can go first. So again, and this is something we were talking about before the show started. Along the same lines, Tony just read his first novel. I just am almost finished reading Old Yeller to my 4-year-old daughter, and that's the first book, like novel, that I've read in a long time. So I'm gonna have to claim that one because that's the only one that I can really remember. But in terms of my favorite book, I'm gonna say Wild at Heart by John Eldredge. It's not a story, though he tells stories in there. But one of the best books that I've read in a long time. It's about masculinity. Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. Awesome. Well, I think my favorite book series has to be the Chronicles of Narnia. I just find them to be incredibly profound and fun and just a real joy to read. C.S. Lewis is my favorite author, and I mean, I love Mere Christianity. It's an incredible book. Everyone needs to read it. But his fiction stuff is great. And Tony, I'm so glad you're reading the Space Trilogy, because that's like a deep cut for C.S. Lewis fans. Like, most people haven't touched those, and yet they are remarkably profound. Wait till That Hideous Strength, man. That is like riveting. Very interesting book.
Well, truthfully, The Hideous Strength is the reason why I'm in the trilogy to begin with, because I've heard a lot of pastors that I follow reference that book in various, quotes or sayings that they're throwing out for illustration points. And I think that was my lead-in point. But I did want to correct something that Nate had said, maybe by accident, that this was the first book I'd ever read. And I am a very learned, educated, reader of books, and this is at least the third book that I've ever read. So I've got quite a storied career. I
meant first in a long time is what I was alluding to. But I apologize if I misspoke.
Absolutely that. I don't read narratives. For the longest time, I really struggled to construct the imagery in narratives in a way that was compelling enough for me to want to keep doing it. And this has really been the first positive experience I've had with a narrative book in such a long time. And I would have to attribute that to C.S. Lewis himself having such a crafty writing style to be able to make things very easy to comprehend, but very deep things to comprehend too. And I'm really enjoying that. So I out of the 3 books that I've read, I'm going to have to put this one now currently at the top.
And I would say, kind of like Nate, I've read books that help us grow spiritually, different, just those type books. I've got another one that I've looked at some over the last like 6 or 7 years. It's on Stonewall Jackson, and it's like that thick, but I still hadn't finished it. But it's for fun reading the fiction book. Recently, over the last year, I've done the Green Ember series.
I've heard
Nate,
of that.
Jared, you probably heard of that, right? Read
I
it?
feel like I have heard of that. Yeah.
I've not read it. I've heard of it.
Yeah, so it's a fantastic book for kids and adults too. I enjoyed every bit of it. But it's about these rabbits who they lose their home. The wolves come and take over, and there's hawks and eagles and all the mean animals are after the rabbits, and it's full of like strategy and war, bravery, like intense battle scenes from these rabbits, and doing extraordinary things, and of course sacrificing for each other. And really, really good story. I'd recommend it for sure for your kids, and don't let them just read it by themselves. You read it along with them.
Okay.
But Green Ember, I don't know who wrote it, but
Well,
it's a good one.
We recently went through the Wing Feather saga together,
yeah.
and that was
I've heard a
really
lot about
good.
that. I've heard a lot
It's
about
very good, guys. I mean, the Wing Feather Saga is fun to read. If you want to read something with your kids,
Okay.
to your kids, that is, it's meaningful and it's got a lot of good depth in it. It's written by a Christian named Andrew Peterson, but it's really fun fantasy story. That's a good one.
Writing that down.
You know what? This is going to sound like a joke, but it's definitely not. But legitimately, what a great reading assignment, especially for young homeschool kids, young homeschool boys, father-centric, was Godzilla -1. That it's a Japanese dialogue to the entire movie, so you have to read it to be able to keep up with what's going on. And the story itself, it's of course got the Godzilla factor in there, but the whole narrative is about this man trying to take care of a woman who's not his wife and her son, who's not either of their sons. It's just a random orphan boy that she was using to try to get resources from people after Godzilla nukes their town. So the story is about him kind of stepping into honor and stepping into being a leader and learning how to fulfill a duty for that family, even though it's not technically his role. It's a very, very rich a story about finding meaningfulness and manly characteristics and manly tropes that are not really commonly found in those types of movies. But I took my boy to read it as a homeschool assignment. that was our reading class for the day. We watched Godzilla -1. It was really, really cool. He did a good job keeping up with the narrative.
And it's in English now, Tony.
Well, it wasn't when I did it. So.
Yeah. Yeah.
I need points for that.
Yeah.
That's why I love homeschooling. I mean, we can just go watch a Godzilla movie and call it reading class.
Yes.
Win.
I'm not going to lie. They did that in public school when I was a kid, too. But at least this time the teacher wasn't inebriated with the lights off the whole time. So.
Hey, in closing, I got a question for you guys. I was just wondering if you wanted to buy my broken barometer. No pressure.
No?
No?
All that setup
Okay.
coming from 600 miles away.
All right, guys. Well, it's been great. It's been great chatting with you, and I hope that we've encouraged somebody out there to pick up a book or to go, watch Gladiator or Frequency or one of these other great movies that we've talked about, and just be inspired. I think there's a place for inspiration in our society that is really important. And so I hope that you dads out there have been inspired. I know I've enjoyed chatting with you guys about some of the things that I really enjoy. So I hope that you have too.
Pick up Jared's book.
Yeah. Yeah. If you want
I like
something
it.
to read, pick up Battle Plan. It might be backwards on the screen, but Battle Plan is available on Amazon. Yeah, go to preacherdad.com if you want to learn more about what we're doing here. If you want to buy any ads or sponsor us, we will accept your money. We certainly will. But mostly we just love each other and we love Jesus, and we hope that we've encouraged you a little bit more on your journey today. So have a great Friday, everybody. Happy Friday, and God bless.